Hello, ranters. I'm Ryan.
What up? This is Robert.
Let's rant. Hello, once again, ranters. Today I am joined, as always, by my co-host, the White Falcon himself, Robert.
Falcon Punch!
On today's episode, we will be discussing The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 6, titled One World, One People. First, before starting, if you haven't seen it, there are spoilers ahead, so do yourself a favor, pause the video, and come back and join in on the conversation.
Also, anything we say is all in good fun, as it should be, so please have a sense of humor and an open mind before continuing.
This is it, everyone. This is the final episode of possibly a season, maybe a miniseries. Time will tell. But let's go ahead and let's jump into it. So, yeah, for the episode, opening previously on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like literally the episode starts just straight into where we left off on the last episode. I think with that, it kind of hurts this episode, but I mean, at the same time, I get it. Now,
Yeah.
with that being said, I feel like it's like, okay, we were left with the cliffhanger, and this is sort of just like, okay, we're going to tie everything up. I feel like it should have just been one whole episode together. This last episode, and then this one, episode.
So
5 and 6.
episode 5 and 6 should have been one episode?
Yeah.
Or like one 2-hour-long movie?
Yeah, like I think that should have been the case. Like that should have been the thing where it was just one long episode, because I feel like it's sort of like it doesn't hesitate with this episode. You're literally like straight into it. And it sort of feels a little off too, especially with like the way Bucky's acting. And what I mean by that is it's sort of just like, okay, you just drop straight into the action. Like the last episode, like they're all still getting there and, doing what they got to do because they're just finding out about it. And this one's sort of just like, okay, we're straight into it. And like not even 6 minutes in, and like stuff's already going down.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm kind of glad with the cliffhanger that we got from last week. Like it didn't wait too long to show us, what was in the box. But
yes.
I don't know, like all week I was thinking that it was gonna start differently than what it was. Like I don't know, like I had a feeling they were gonna like leave it like maybe Bucky was gonna like do his kind of redemption thing with that old man that he was like with in the first episode, or this, maybe was it the first episode?
Yeah.
About having him, like I thought they were gonna go through that part first, because I thought, man, if they were gonna like up the stakes, because like that was kind of like the one thing that was kind of left open ended for Bucky. So like if he had done that, if they had made him do that in the beginning of this episode, then his fate technically throughout the remainder of the episode and through that final fight was gonna be up in the air, so to speak. Like what better way for a man who's basically been used as a Russian puppet for like the better part of 40-50 years to like have a redemption type of sacrifice. He had already kind of made accepted, I guess, his past, like with telling the truth. I felt like since that kind of didn't happen, the stakes of the final battle or the final fight, whatever you want to call it, wasn't as high, I don't think, in my opinion.
Yeah, no,
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Yeah,
like there was no real threat, in my opinion. Like, I mean, Carly, she was, beaten down on, we'll probably touch on that later when it gets to that part. But I mean, there was no real, in my opinion, no real threat, because they're not going to have, Sam Wilson as the new Captain America fail his first real mission, his coming out party. And like with it coming in right into the action, like you kind of figured Bucky was also going to survive, because he has to, part of his whole arc in this whole series was like making up for his past. And since they didn't really touch upon that on the beginning of the episode, it was going to happen later on.
Yeah. And I feel like with that, it did feel a little rushed with this episode. But again, I think it has to do with because of how it was a cliffhanger with last episode. So I don't really consider this like episode 6. I consider this more like episode
5B,
5.5.
5B.
Yeah. 5B, yes.
Like, don't get me wrong, I still love
Yeah.
the episode. Like
Oh, yeah.
when Sam comes in, like it was kind of a tease at first. Like you hear him on the radio and you hear him kind of flying, and then he comes in, and like I see him in the new suit, and I'm like, I was like, oh, this is making me giddy because like, like the whole time, like even earlier on, I was like, man, I don't know if I want, I wanted Sam Wilson to remain as a Falcon because I loved what they were doing with the character and how he was able to fight. But then I'm like, as a serial, and then he comes in this like almost comic book accurate, suit of him being Captain America, and I'm like, all right, all right, also doesn't hurt my bias that I have, the first appearance of Sam Wilson as Captain America, that comic book,
Of
but
course you do. Of course.
you know,
No,
but yeah,
no.
yeah, I mean, but I still love the suit. Oh, so the suit looks amazing.
Dude, oh my God. Like, we've been talking about it over the last couple of weeks, and you had even said, are they going to do the suit? What's it going to look like? And then when you see him, like you said before, you see him flying through, just teasing us, just like glances and whatnot of, what's going on. You hear his voice and you see a little bit of it, but they do
Yeah.
really far shots. So you just see, really small versions. But as soon as he flies through that window with the shield, ooh, that suit.
Yeah.
That suit, man, when he just enters the room
So
and they're like, oh, the Falcon. He's like, I'm Captain America. I was like, ooh.
it's like, I'm here, deal with it.
Exactly. And then, not to cut away from that, but like right before, when he's flying through and teasing us, it does cut to Bucky walking through, and then, you see this person just appear. And they say his name, and then all of a sudden you just see like their face warp, and I'm like, wait, what the heck? And then boom, Sharon Carter is in the fight.
Using that Winter Soldier tech from Black Widow's little like mesh type of face alteration.
Exactly. I'm sorry, did I step on your moment?
Right. So
Dude,
like,
what's up?
I'll get back to Sam's new suit because there was like a couple of little touches, but I think I can probably get to that later. But like with the whole face type of thing, like when I first saw that in the Winter Soldier, I was like, man, you know what? This actually would have been a kind of cool little thing to do like the Spider-Man villain of the Chameleon, like an updated version for the Chameleon, because you know how he's always like turning into different people by using like prosthetics and facial prosthetics.
Ooh, that
I was
would
like,
be
man, this would have
sick.
been but I feel like one, Sony owns Spider-Man, but like I feel like now that we've kind of seen it a couple of times, I think they even showed it in Agents of Shield. They even used it in Agents of Shield. So I feel like now that we've seen it this many times, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I kind of want to like if they ever did the Chameleon, which I doubt they will, because I feel like there's other Spider-Man rogues that they could use, like Craven,
Yeah.
Chameleon's half brother
Oh my
or stepbrother or something. But like, I felt like that would have been a kind of a cool new 21st century version of doing that for the Chameleon. But that's just my thoughts on that. I mean, I love the tech, even, back then, and even now it was kind of cool. Which makes me wonder, like, why couldn't Sharon do that at all times if she needed to get back in the country?
Unless she already was.
Yeah, I'll get
Oh.
my thoughts on that later.
Oh yeah. We're definitely gonna have some talks about that ending. But
But I
like I
just
said,
love the throwbacks to Winter Soldier and Civil War and all this stuff from this whole series. I felt like this was like the like, I don't want to say conclusion, but like the next part of that story, the Winter Soldier and Civil War story.
yeah, like this whole series has been a love letter to those previous films. Winter Soldier with, the Black Widow tech that she's using with the face swapping, with, just the stuff with the shield, the little throwbacks to, Sam and Bucky's conversations and whatnot, the music throughout. I love it. And like you said, they couldn't have picked a better continuation from where Civil War ended with them. Of course it didn't end there. You have Infinity War and Endgame after that, but picking up where that whole spy thriller, very small yet big scale story was this is the perfect continuation from that. And, just to switch back to what we were talking about a second ago, oh, man, that costume. Oh, the entrance, the line with I'm Captain America, and then, lo and behold, because he can't stay out of the fight, Batroc is back out of nowhere. But he's coming because, that line right at the end of, the last episode. So, again, I've said on previous episodes that when I watch a lot of this stuff, I do use subtitles
Right.
because I like to listen to my music real loud, so I'm paying for that now. So sometimes it's a little hard for me to hear, what's going on. So when I was using the subtitles watching this episode, when he's fighting Batroc, under the subtitles for when Sam's getting thrown and whatnot, it says Captain America gasping under the thing, and I was like, all right, like it's official, it's on here, it's on the subtitle, they are rolling with this. Sam is the new Captain America, and I couldn't be happier. That's been the whole purpose of his story arc. It's Steve wanted him to be the next person to take over the mantle, with how, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet, the way Endgame ends, he gives him the shield, says try it on. You think right there, okay, everything's said and done, but then we go through this whole series, and literally, as I've said many, 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 many times, the purpose of this series has always been for them to get the shield back.
Yeah.
And, they did that, and Sam finally accepted his role, but, he's like, I'm going to do it my way. I will still take up the mantle, but I know that I don't have to fight or stay in the shadow or live up to the shadow of Steve. No, it's about doing right by the symbol and what it represents. And that's the beautiful thing, is that the symbol can mean whatever it means. At the end of the day, it's about the right thing. It's about doing the right thing in the person that's wearing that costume.
Yeah, and I think that was the whole, like, the journey for Sam in this whole series, is just because, like, he was, I mean, he was gifted the shield, and, like, I mean, he's gonna believe Steve when Steve tells him, okay, you're a good, when Steve was like, you're a good man, Sam, and, like, Sam, like, he knows right, right from wrong, and he will fight the good fight, but I think he needed to believe, he needed a cause, or to fight for, the reason to be Captain America. Like, he needed his own reason. Like, Steve had his own reason, and as much as Sam admired Steve, like, Steve's reason couldn't be Sam's reason. Like, Sam needed his own reason to be Captain America, and listen, and just knowing the history with Isaiah Bradley and how they wronged him, and just all of that, just he finally realized, hey, I have to do this now, and it's not just for me. I have to do it for. And like he'll say it later on, like, he has to do it for all the people that can't speak up for themselves. Exactly. And I think that was also an important part of his later speech that he'll say to the senators.
Oh yeah, that we'll definitely we're definitely going to touch on that, because there's some stuff I want to say. Not too much, but definitely something. But yeah, so let's switch gears to the part that is just again, this is nothing towards the actress, who I think she did a phenomenal job with this whole series, portraying, this, I guess they kept going back and forth, but they finally called her a teenager in this episode. But Carly, it's just, like I said, and I've said it before, my biggest issue has always been, like, I could not buy her as the villain, because they either wanted to commit or they didn't want to commit. But I know we've talked about it before, and, there's a possibility that it might not be that this is what the original storyline was, especially with everything that happened, with 2020 and whatnot. There definitely could have been a different storyline to this, but it got altered because of that. But I just feel like, when it cuts to Carly, she's like wearing her hoodie and whatnot, and she's talking to Bucky on the phone. and she's just, trying to get inside his head about how, oh, you've been wronged too and all that. I was just rolling my eyes like, my God, again with this. Like, it just felt they were trying like real hard at this point to say like, oh, she's gone, she can't be saved, like she's just on a whole nother level now. And again, I could not buy her as the heavy.
Yeah, like so I think there's parts of her story that's currently in the series that are really great and that you can get behind. Like, she is fighting a good cause, and yeah, her methodology is, suspect. But I think, even a person who's fighting a good cause eventually, a lot eventually turn down the, I guess, more violent path because, I guess they get impatient. And they expect results faster, and she's a teenager, inexperienced teenager. But I feel like there was more to the whole like overall story of the Flag Smashers and her role, and it just ended up getting cut, or for some whatever reason they had to reshoot it, and it just didn't get put together quite as effectively. But it's like I said, there's some parts to her character that I did enjoy, and like I said, even you can even see Sam like understanding her fight, and he like and he understands why she's fighting it, and again he touches up on that during his speech. And I mean, and yeah, the actress is fine. Like I have no problem with the cast, or the portrayals, but like yeah, there it was just. I feel like maybe if there was just something
More fleshed out.
more, yeah, and I'm not. I don't know who's at. I don't know if it is poor writing. Maybe there wasn't more to the story, but I really do think there was more to the story than to the Flag Smashers than there was. But I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever like get it. Maybe we'll get like a director's cut.
Yes.
But
Release the Falcon and Winter Soldier cut.
yeah,
Yeah, like you said, it's just like I can't tell whether or not there was something, but it feels like it does. It feels like it's very back and forth, but it also feels kind of choppy with her character. So, like I said, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's just something that just never sold me on that. But like you said, there are good aspects, like, the fourth episode when she's having her conversation with Sam, and they're talking and whatnot. Like, I really enjoyed that moment. And I think that's the episode where I'm like, I really enjoyed Carly's character with that. I was like, okay, we're seeing a little bit more. Like, we're seeing some struggle, some turmoil, some regret. But with this, it felt like it was sort of like it still was like we want her to commit to this, but we don't because we want to do something different. So it was just like I said, I don't know. It could have been anything, but I mean, for what it was, it is what it is. It moved the story along either way.
For sure. I mean, yeah, it's just I don't know. It definitely, her whole role definitely felt incomplete.
Yes. I don't know why when you said that it reminded me of that Backstreet Boys song "Incomplete." But yeah, let's go back to Sharon doing her part. So yes, we got Sharon Carter in the fight. So they're evacuating the building, and they're like, okay, we got to get this whole council of senators out of here. So let's get them out using the Dark Knight method of throwing them into the back of heavily armored SWAT cars and whatnot, and we're gonna get them out. And then you already have her team infiltrating the SWAT and whatnot, and you have that one guy on her team, Lennox, that big bulky dude, and he's putting his little super enhanced locks and whatnot on the thing, which reminded me a lot of Cat in the Hat with that little lock that he has, that mine thing. But yeah, so he's throwing those on the back of the car, and then you just see Sharon come out of nowhere. And I really like when she runs into him. The character's name is Lennox, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry and whatnot. And you see her put that thing underneath his armor and whatnot. And right after that, I'm thinking like it's gonna shock him, or it's like a tracker or something like that. And you just see her walking away, and then you see the background of the shot, and you just see like this yellow vapor in the background of the truck, and you just see the truck slam into that car, and I'm thinking, oh man, she knocked him out or something like that. But when it cuts back very briefly to show him, you just see what she referenced it as, the mercury vapor
Yeah,
eating away
amongst
at his
other stuff.
skin.
She said mercury vapor amongst other stuff. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what other stuff? But yeah, I didn't even notice that when I first watched it. Like, I thought it was just like she just knocked him out, like, with whatever gas. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I mean, I know mercury was bad, but I don't know what mercury gas does to someone. Like,
Exactly.
but yeah, it was completely just eaten away with it. I'm like, holy crap, she just straight up murdered this dude.
Yeah, you see it. Like, I thought at first, I was like, oh, his skin's getting irritated. And I was like, wait, no,
No,
that's boiling. Like, he was boiling. And I
I'm
was
about to
like,
Google
whoa.
mercury gas, and I'm probably gonna get the NSA up on me. Doing it for you, audience. But yeah,
This is
no,
how we
it
get the
was
White Falcon, people.
White Falcon. It's definitely it's. Well, I mean, here it says mercury can evaporate to become an invisible, odorless, toxic vapor. I mean, so I guess they made it. What was it, green to? I don't know. Maybe it
It
was all
was,
the other stuff.
yeah, it was like a yellow.
Yeah,
It was like a yellow tint. And then just like watching it boil his skin away, because I was looking at it and I was like, oh my God, yeah. Because I'm thinking, like you said,
yeah,
mercury vapor amongst other things.
yeah.
That was that amongst other things.
It
Like,
says the inorganic salts of mercury are corrosive to the skin, eyes, and gastrointestinal tract, and may induce kidney toxicity if ingested. So it is corrosive to the skin. Oh, that's got to be a way to go, man.
that is not the way I want to go.
Nah,
I want to be
there's
quick.
definitely better ways to go.
Yeah, quick and painless. Quick and
Yeah,
painless.
there's an episode of The Boys that a way someone dies in The Boys that I wouldn't mind going out like that.
I knew exactly what it was as soon as you said it. If you have no idea what we're talking about, I believe it's season 1, episode 6 or 7.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
that. I just know it's season 1.
yeah, I want to say it's towards the end. I think it's like episode 6 or 7, but definitely check out The Boys, now available on Amazon Video.
Yep.
But yes, so that happens, and we cut back to the fight with Batroc and Sam. They're having their fight, they're doing their thing, and Sam. Oh, there's a couple times Sam hits him with the shield that I was just like, dang. I think it's when he realizes the shield's by his foot, and then he like kicks it up and it
Flips
hits
it up, yeah.
Yeah, it flips up and it hits Batroc in the face. And
Oh,
then
that's pretty cool.
yeah, right after he's like, see ya, or whatever it is, or catch you later, and
Au
he
revoir.
tosses the shield out the window and he catches it mid-flight as he takes off. And I'm just like, man, Sam got really good with that training montage that he was doing, especially with this new tech that he has from Wakanda. This is, Falcon 2.0 and whatnot, which, shout out to a reference that's made later on. But yeah, that, God, it just looks so beautiful. I was like, oh yes. And you actually called it about how you couldn't wait to see, he already has his awesome moves as the Falcon, but to see how he's going to interact with the shield as well. There was a couple of cool things
Yeah.
with that, and we got to see a couple of them with the fight. But man, that shield toss after he leaves the scene, when he leaves the building and he just throws it out the window and it's just spinning, he just dives out and just catches it like, and just takes off into the night.
Yeah. To go after a helicopter.
Yeah, exactly.
To go fight a helicopter again. Reminiscent of episode 1, almost.
Yeah, oh my God, yes, for sure. Like, I do like how it does give that throwback to like literally the opening scene for the first
Yeah.
episode of him and Batroc, having their fight, and then him flying towards the helicopter, and then to see the same thing paralleled, but now he's got his new tech. He's like, no, we're gonna get this done, and he does. cut away from it, because I mean, there's really not much to talk about with that. It's just flying, getting the helicopter, saving them, all that good stuff. I do like that little that push out that he does when he's talking with the senator, that has the helicopter experience.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot, and just when they're counting down, and he just uses the shield to knock the door out, and then he just uses it to fly through and take out
yep.
that dude, just like. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Again,
very
but that was still reminiscent of episode 1, how he did that when he saved the guy. He just flew through the helicopter,
yeah. Except now he had
and
the shield.
and then and he also had missiles following him in episode 1. But no, I liked it how he saved the NYPD too with the new Red Wing. Like the Red Wing like grabs the guy and like pulls him out, and then he saves the other one.
Oh,
And then when he lands on the bridge, like
that part made me
shield
laugh.
up. He puts the shield up, and the wings surround him, and the helicopter just kind of like thuds off of him.
Yeah, how he uses his wings and then he puts the shield up above him, and then it's just like
Yeah.
thunk.
So
Right
yeah,
off.
I'm guessing it's only the wings that are vibranium.
Yeah, well,
Because
that
the
plus
wings,
the boost.
oh, and the shield. But like, I mean, he was taking hits from the helicopter blades too. So I imagine it's just the wings. Like, I didn't know how far they were gonna go with it. Was it just gonna be the wings, or is it gonna be the whole suit? Like Black Panther's.
I think
But
it's
no, I
the
think
whole suit as well. I think it's like Black Panther's first suit, the
I don't
one
know.
that we see in
The way when
Civil
he was
War.
standing, when he was standing later, it kind of looked like it was full on like a type of pleather or something.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Yeah.
thinking it's more like Black Panther's first suit, where
Maybe.
before he gets the one with the beads and whatnot, where it's all like all cool.
I don't know. I still think it's somewhat. I think it's just the wings that are vibranium, in my opinion.
True.
But who knows?
But yeah,
Because
so
I'll say that uniform did not look comfortable when he was just standing there talking to everybody. I'll tell you that.
in the face, like it was.
Yeah. Felt like it was just squeezing. To borrow a line from Maria Hill, squeezing the brain.
Yeah.
The helmet, harking back to Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Hey, throwback. So yeah, let's shift gears from that. That happens, and then we cut back to Bucky, doing his thing. I do like that little how he launches himself at that guy with the motorcycle when he hits the
Yeah.
barrier. He just throws his body towards him, and they have their little fight and their one-on-one. This is after Carly and her guys have taken the quote-unquote hostages, and they get stopped by the barriers and whatnot, and Bucky's just doing his thing. And then when you think, okay, Bucky's doing pretty good, out of freaking nowhere, because we forgot about him, but he's still trying to do his thing. John Walker yelling Carly's name, Morgantha,
Yeah.
like freaking Archer when he goes on his rampage.
Rampage.
Exactly. He's like, Morgantha.
Because Lamar's life matters.
Exactly. What was the line that she says? Because his life doesn't matter, or something. Was it something like that? Like it was
not-
equivalent to like, I don't even know who you are. You will.
Basically. Something about she only wanted to help people's lives who mattered, or something like that. And I was like, and then or something like that. And he was like, "Are you like he's saying Lamar's life didn't matter?" And when I heard that, I was like, "No, Lamar's life matters."
I'm telling you, dude. I'm still convinced he's not dead. I'm still
he
convinced he's not dead.
He did.
No. It's the government's involved with this. Like I said in the previous episode, show me the body. We never see the body.
No.
That's all I'm saying. We never see the body. So they're fighting. We finally get his trash can lid. I told you, dude. Like when they're fighting, and he's getting surrounded by Carly's goons, and the first one I think hits it. You already see the thing dent. I'm just like,
Just coming apart.
exactly. I was like, they're gonna tear through this thing, and they're fighting and all that, and then in the middle of fighting, Sam just boom swoops in, starts doing his thing, and then they end up running Carly off. Oh, no! I lied. No, they're still on the bridge. They're
Yeah,
still on the
yeah,
bridge.
because I know Bucky's fight got interrupted because he ended up saving those hostages from that one truck, and then he comes back when like the three flag smashers were ganging up on John. So then Bucky comes in and takes out one of them, and then I guess that's when Carly takes the truck. Oh yeah, because Bucky ends up getting knocked down off the little bridge or whatever it is they were on, like the building that was like they were fighting underneath, like the construction site.
His little ah.
Hey, but he did a superhero landing though.
Oh yeah, he did with that. Ooh, the arm hitting.
Superhero landing. Yeah, yeah, and then the same thing happened where Carly like takes the truck and tries to drive it off like the edge of the building, and then I really liked it how John pretty much he could have like he ended up getting like knocked out or not like knocked silly by Carly, but I kind of liked how he gave up his pursuit to go rescue the innocent people. Like you can kind of see him like again this might have been a Wyatt Russell thing, but like he like put his head down, hand on his forehead, like you can tell him he was kind of like struggle, like he was fighting the serum, like like the serum is supposed to amplify everything about yourself, and like it kind of felt like one of those Doc Ock things from Spider-Man 2, like the arms are telling him one thing, like the serum was kind of telling him one thing, but like he was like kind of fighting back that programming of the serum, like no, I have to, like I am a good soldier, I got to save these people first. I was just kind of glad, like I was kind of bummed that he didn't actually like he was able to pull the truck back, and then the flag smashers came back, and then he wasn't able to save them 100% because then it started to fall again, and then Sam like I understand why Sam had to be the one to catch that truck, and it was kind of funny, like he didn't like he catches it, but it's like his boosters like pushing it back, so I was like that was kind of cool, like that's his own way of being super, but like I was kind of bummed like John couldn't complete that that whole thing and saving those people, but I was just glad that they made him do that. Like the action itself to me also speaks more to his like character. Like he it was kind of like a redemption type thing in my opinion.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. And there's one thing I do want to say. You hit the nail on the head with what you just said a second ago about
I
John
usually miss.
Walker. About not today, man. Not today.
You got to
So,
hit the thumb a couple times before you hit the head.
exactly. So the comparison that you just made with Doc Ock fighting the chip with
Yeah.
with his arm, with his mechanical arms, that is such a great comparison to what John Walker's going through with fighting the serum. Like especially, like you said, it's that head grab where I
Yeah.
think it's, like you said, it's amplified. That serum amplifies whatever you have going on in the inner turmoil of that need to get justice for Lamar, and everything that happened. When it even shows you, he's looking at Carly, and then he's like fighting with that idea, do I go after her or do I do the right thing? Which I'm glad they chose, do the right thing, because I really thought they were just gonna abandon it and he was
Yeah.
just gonna go full force on her. But the one thing I didn't like about that is, and again, it goes back to the character's motivations, is I felt like Carly had a plan, especially with how the last episode ended and how they keep like they show you without showing you, like they're going places and whatnot. Like they don't ever show you where she really is throughout this episode. They just give you like the very close up
Mm.
shots, so it looks like there's a bigger plan on what she
Right,
has for
right. I get what
them.
you're saying. Yeah, like when she's talking to Bucky, like they kind of have like it in a close up, like nondescript like area. It seems like she's in, and she's talking to him, and it seems like, and they get it where that they said there she was trying to lead the people outside instead of keeping everybody in. But you felt like there was still like, okay, yeah, we're leading them out because it's a diversion to do something. We're gonna lead them out, and hold them hostage. But like, what was the bigger thing? Like, just hold them hostage until they change their mind on the vote, or what?
Exactly, and then she ends up just like, oh, okay, here's that empty thing. Let me just throw them in. But I'm pretty sure that's the same area where they were earlier when she was talking with them. Um, when her team was doubting her, they had that look on their face like,
Oh yeah,
no, like this is not part of the plan.
yeah,
We were not gonna do this. Where our whole thing is just like, hey, yeah, we're gonna threaten them, but we're not gonna actually do anything to them. They're just leverage. That's all there is. But she's like, no, one people, one world, or one
yeah.
world, one people.
And I think that also comes back, like to the serum. Like, like I said, when she's a teenager, so it's like when she's not kind of getting her way at the moment. It's not going to like 100% according to plan. So now it's like, you basically kind of like, I don't want to say throw a fit, and you just start kind of like breaking things.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, it's like, okay, things aren't going my way. Like, okay, let's just go completely crazy and just straight up, I felt like that's what it was. It's like when something doesn't go someone's way, they just try to amplify whatever it is they're doing. And I think that also could have been the serum, but again, there was really no, I don't know. It was just the whole Carly character. It's like, yeah, they could have done something more with it. And I think maybe it was kind of like, I don't know. It hurts maybe that it was only 6 episodes, or who knows, reshoots. Yeah, it just goes back to that.
Yeah. So, we cut back to Sam, just for a quick second when he's on the bridge and whatnot, and he's talking with them. Everybody's looking at him like, there's that one guy who's like, "That's the Black Falcon there, I tell you." That made me laugh. And then that guy next to him, "Nah, that's Captain America."
Yeah, I
And
kind of felt like that whole line was cheesy.
yeah, it
It was a little hammy and kind of forced, but like I don't know.
it made
It
me
really,
laugh. It was the
yeah,
delivery. It was
yeah.
like, that's the Black Falcon there, I tell you.
I do like the Black Falcon came back from what, like, was it like episode 3 when he was first walking down like Isaiah Bradley Street, and that dude was like, "You're the Black Falcon." I'm like, "No, it's just a Falcon."
Yeah, yeah.
So I liked how that brought that back, but like I don't know, the whole thing was just like, okay, like it was kind of cheesy, but I was like, I'll allow it. Not that I have any choice, but yes,
Yeah.
I accept it.
You're like, yeah, they had to have one cheesy line in there.
Yeah,
So, he flies off and is like, okay, let me go join the fight. Because you don't see him, because it's focusing so much on John and, Bucky doing their thing that when, after John lifts the car and then he gets in the fight again and then they throw him, and you just hear the, ah! Again, his little
telling you
scream.
exactly.
It's the MCU Wilhelm, dude.
Yes, yes.
That's what it is. It's what we need.
I want it. I want it. I want that to be a thing.
I'll be honest, like, when he gets down there and then, when it's starting to fall again, I really thought Bucky was gonna catch the thing.
Dude, like before Sam caught it, like I literally thought, because both Bucky and John were down there, and I was like, oh man, superhero team up, they're gonna catch this truck.
Exactly. That's really where I thought it was going, and then you just said, whew. And then,
Yeah,
like
and
you
then
said,
Sam
how
caught it.
he's using what does he call his pack?
Oh, I don't know. I just know it's red. I just know he has Red
Red
Wing.
Wing. Red Wing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's
Like,
like
what was it? Like
the
two of
two
them
the
came
two
out,
little
right?
mini Red Wings.
Yeah.
When I like how slowly, like, he's just like, deadlifting this car or this truck, and then you just see the little dead wings come off, and then they like just slowly go on the hood, and then they just start pushing it back.
Kind of like what was it? Iron Man's little scene from Homecoming when they saved the ferry.
Yes, exactly. Exactly like that. So, they save that, and then, he ends up down there, and freaking Bat comes out of nowhere with a grenade launcher.
Oh yeah,
Freaking
just like
I was like,
smoke
my God,
grenades.
dude, how many shots do you have in that thing?
I think 6. I think 6 or 7. I don't know. I'm not a demolitions expert.
I felt like he just kept shooting, and then he was just like, all right, that's good right there. And then he just like fades off into the darkness. And, they go after, and Sam, it just has that close up of Sam's face with the visor. And you just see them running through with the thermal. And he's just like, follow me, we'll split up. And, they go through the tunnel and whatnot. And the abandoned building, which I thought, again, because it looked very similar to when she had her hoodie up. I'm thinking, okay, they got a plan. So this is something like this was the deal all along to get them here, and we're really gonna get like this big fight or something like that. And then you know Carly's walking, you hear that noise, was it the whistle?
Hmm.
And then you just see freaking Sharon coming out of the darkness, and they have their little back and forth. And then this is when reveal
Dun
time.
dun dun.
Sharon's been the power broker the entire time. We freaking called it.
Called it. I mean,
I'm
so
still
can we
not
do that whole?
convinced.
It was Sharon all
Oh,
along.
yes, it was Sharon all along. But yeah, I'm still not fully convinced though. But I mean, we're gonna talk more about that at the end. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so I'm really starting to think that maybe she really didn't blip. I know she was blipped on, she was on the screen on Endgame, but like I said, if she's in Madripoor and she's like deep, as a power broker, like, she's able to walk around with nobody actually knowing who the actual power broker is, or they just didn't say anything. Like, I just feel like maybe she didn't blip and they just couldn't contact her, and then they just assumed. Because I know,
it,
so I know I've read where there was like, I know I read online where some people were like, "Oh, but there's no way Steve would, not check up on Sharon." Well, maybe Sharon was, felt like she's been betrayed by Steve and everybody else, and they just forgot about her, so she didn't pick up the call.
well, she has other reasons to feel betrayed by
Yeah,
Steve as well too.
that's also true. But and like she's building an empire as the power broker in Madripoor. Like, why does she want people to think that she's alive? Like, that's the perfect way to build your persona. You you make people, or you let the whole world think that you got blipped, and you're over here creating a criminal empire. It's the
Exactly.
perfect cover.
Exactly. And like I said, we're
That shit's
definitely gonna
so
talk.
feisty.
Yes, but we're definitely gonna talk more about it at the end. But they have their little back and forth. They have guns facing each other, and then Sam comes in and he has his fight with Carly, and there's a punch
But this is
that
after,
yeah.
Sharon shoots Batroc,
Oh yes, I forgot
and
Batroc
then
comes in. You're gonna pay me four
Cart,
times the
and then
amount.
it happened quick, and I think Carly shoots Sharon.
Yes.
Yeah,
At first, I thought she shot Batroc in the head,
I thought so too.
like because it
Like I
was
said,
it
like
was a really
if you shoot,
fast
you see the
cut.
shot, and it cuts, and then Batroc falls, and then Sharon's on the ground. So I was like, okay, maybe I think, did Carly shoot Sharon? And like, it wasn't clear, like 100% clear, but you can kind of get it. But I was like, man, I was like, I just can't see Sharon putting herself in that position to be shot.
Yeah,
But
like it was
anyways,
definitely.
yeah,
Oh, what were you
yeah.
gonna say?
Then yeah, no, I was just gonna like, that was just me just thinking, but I was like, then Sam comes in.
So perfectly timed, where Sharon's just like, oh no, oh, what was me? I've been shot. Sam, kill her. I mean, she doesn't say that, but
No,
that's
no,
essentially what
no,
the
she didn't
scene
say
is
any of
reading.
that.
That's what the scene is reading.
It's all
And they
Shakespeare.
have their little talk, and I really like, this is when the Sam and Carly fight starts. I really like that he's like yelling, I'm not gonna fight you. Like, he's just like, he believes so much in himself that, and when I say that, so much that Carly is not, the villain, the way she's being portrayed, that she doesn't really want to do this, and he's just trying to get to her, and she's just like, fight back, fight back. And there's a punch that she lands when she like comes up above him, and it hits the shield,
Oh,
and it's
yeah,
just
yeah. And the
that
wings
shield
pop
sound.
down.
Yes, and it's like, and they pierce the ground. Like, oh, it's a beautiful shot.
Yeah,
I was
I definitely
like,
didn't notice that the first time, and then I saw that, I was like, oh. But I was like, yeah, definitely gonna need that to, if he's fighting a super soldier, or I don't want to call her a super soldier, but
an
but
enhanced.
yeah, I mean, she is a super soldier. I don't know. But like, there's kind of two parallels I want to make to this whole fight. So like, there was one time where she does like knock him down, and then he gets back up, and she was like, just stay down. Half of me was expecting him to say, I could do this all day. Like I wanted him to say that so bad. I don't know why. But he doesn't. I was like, man, missed opportunity. But I don't know.
You
And
wanted
that
Civil
just goes
War
to show you,
callback.
like if I want him to say Steve's like one of Steve's iconic lines, even before he was Captain America, like this is me like really accepting, Sam as my Captain America, even though Chris Evans and Steve Rogers is always my Cap. But like I'm totally behind Sam Wilson as Cap. But then there was
Oh,
another
God, for real.
parallel I wanted to like bring up, like with Sam trying to save Carly, basically from herself. It kind of also, again, this is going back to Winter Soldier. Him not fighting Carly is kind of reminiscent of Steve refusing to fight Bucky on the helicarrier when it was going up, and when Steve drops the shield, he's like, I know you, you know me, like I'm not gonna do this because I'm here with you till the end of the line. Like
E-
it kind of like, but like Steve was able to reach Bucky. Maybe it's because of their long-standing, friendship. But Sam wasn't in this particular case. But I kind of felt like that was still a parallel, maybe, or maybe it's just a coincidence. But I felt like it was something to at least bring up.
No, no, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, there's again, it goes with the continuing trend of the parallels between Winter Soldier and Civil War and the continuation in this. How the paths are very similar.
Hmm.
With where they're getting to, and I just love that we get to see and they show us that side of Sam that we saw in Winter Soldier, where he's counseling, the soldiers, where this is something that he has
Yeah.
experience with, and that it's something he's trying to do. Like, I can get through to her. Like, I've done it before, and it doesn't feel forced, because when, someone's like, no, I'm not giving up on this person, I believe in, like, no, no, it's like, no, we've seen him
Yeah.
get through to people. We've seen, like, Sam is extremely persuasive,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that they actually show it in here, and it doesn't feel forced or hammy. It's like, no, no, this is, something he's done before, something he does do, and something he is continuing to try because he sees what the others can't. And they have their fight scene and all that good stuff, and then it cuts away from that to go back to Carly's goons. They're walking through and whatnot, and they get that text message, oh, meet over here and whatnot, and then you just see Bucky and Walker walking out of nowhere, and Bucky has that line, this is a great app. And
Oh yeah.
then, like, all the cops and SWAT come in, and I'm just thinking, like,
Like 30 to
these
40 of them just comes in with like
exactly.
trained like assault weapons on these guys. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna need all 40 of them people.
Exactly, exactly. And I was thinking for a split second too, because it looks at them. I'm like, come on, these three could easily take them. But I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, they're just like, whatever. And then you just see Bucky and Walker starting to bond when Walker
Yep.
gives that Lincoln quote, and he's like, Lincoln, really? And he's like, what? He's great, and they're just walking off into the sunset together, and I'm just like, I like that. Like, I really enjoy Bucky just coming to terms with everything. Like, he really does do a 180, I think, with the last episode. The last episode is where we really start to see him like a different person. Like, this is like, we're seeing Bucky. We're not seeing
Hmm.
the Winter Soldier. We're seeing, Bucky before, he became the Winter Soldier in
Yeah.
the first Captain America. So it's just nice to see him, like, smiling, joking around and whatnot, and just seeing that little bond. So right after that, we cut back to the Sam Carly fight. They're doing their thing, they're fighting, and then this is where I can't remember too much, but long story short, Sharon comes out of nowhere and
Yeah.
just puts.
Carly has a gun. I can't. Yeah. Carly ends up with the gun
Oh,
trained on Sam,
that's right.
and yeah, it looks like Carly's about to shoot him, and then all of a sudden Sharon just like out of nowhere like pops Carly like what 3 times or something.
Yeah, she like pops her 3 times, and then she's just like, like, ugh, and then she just falls down, and then
Like
the
you kind of get it because it did look like Carly was gonna shoot Sam, but at the
yeah.
same time we all know Sharon wanted to kill Carly because Carly also knew who Sharon really was. So, you know, killing
I,
two birds here with one stone.
exactly.
We're gonna
Haha.
use that. We're gonna use that. Well,
So
actually, no birds died because Falcon lived.
well, in a way,
Oh,
Falcon
that
died
that
so
was
Captain
lame. That
America
was
could
lame.
live.
Joaquin Joaquin Torres.
Yes, yes,
That was
all a
lame.
good time.
That whole thing was lame. But we're gonna keep it in because that's who I am.
Exactly, and we accept lameness here. We actually encourage it. But yeah, she's dying, and she's just like, I like that they show her hand. Like at first, I thought she was like, holding on, but at the same time, like they really force that shot on her hand where it looks like she's making a fist, like power to the people, and
Yeah,
whatnot.
she was clutching that thing, right? That some necklace type thing or whatever. That
Oh, that's what she was doing.
yeah, they don't show it. Like honestly, it was an immediate cut. Like because you see Sharon collapse after shooting Carly, and then I think it was immediately going towards that clutching whatever it was the necklace. But
Yeah,
I initially thought that was Sharon's like hand. I was like maybe
yeah.
she was just gonna die. Like I don't know, but it was it was Carly, and I was like okay, she's clutching something. Maybe she got from what was it? Oh, what was that character's name that just all she did was die? Like I
I don't.
guess the role model to Carly.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
that
remember her
one,
name.
or her aunt, I think, or something like
Yeah,
that. The
you know she had a bigger role.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I think it was from her. Now that you said necklace, I'm pretty sure that that was from her, and she was just
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry." So right after she dies, like literally right after she dies, it cuts to Sharon, and the subtitle that it has for Sharon is because she lets out like a it says sighs in relief. I took that as okay, my secret is safe.
Right?
My cover's
And I'm
not
not
blown.
dead. And I'm not dead. My cover's
Exactly.
safe. I'm not dead. All is right.
And then, it cuts to the next scene where it shows Sam flying in with Carly's body. I actually did like that shot of, his wings coming down and whatnot, and he's holding her. I thought that was a really nice and interesting shot. And then, they they already have the stretcher coming out, so he's like putting her on there. And then this is when he has his speech, and
Yes.
the senators are talking to him about like, oh, thank you for saving us. And then he's like, I gotta put my 2 cents in with this whole thing. And like, are you guys still going to do this? And they're like, oh, you saved us from the terrorists. And he's like, don't call them terrorists, that's not who they are. And then it just continues to go, with his speech and whatnot. And during his speech, I called this. I called it. Um, they cut to Isaiah and his
Mm-hmm.
grandson, and he's just listening to him talk. And he quotes what Isaiah had told him, about how, I'm pretty sure there's a million people who don't want to see me in this suit, but you know what? Like, I gotta do what's right by it. And it just cuts to Isaiah, and then there's the head nod. And I told you it was gonna happen. I
Yeah.
told you there's gonna be something to where the last episode is gonna cut to Isaiah. He's gonna be watching something, or he's gonna be hearing about it, and he's just gonna nod his head like, yeah.
But I think it'll come even more full circle later. We'll get to there in a bit
Yeah.
with
And then
Isaiah Bradley.
yes,
But
yes,
yeah,
yes,
even
yes.
Eli Bradley sitting there, like I was like, if anything was gonna happen, because I was like, okay, maybe this will maybe inspire Eli Bradley, because Eli Bradley becomes the young Avenger, the Patriot. So I was like, if anything was gonna happen, like even if like Isaiah Bradley was still disapproving, maybe it would like inspired like this young Avenger type thing. And we'll know. We'll see. I'm still putting my eggs in the young Avengers basket.
And actually, I have a semi theory about that, but I'll save that towards the
Oh, that
end
yeah.
when we
Oh
talk
yeah.
about that.
But no, I actually liked his speech. Like I will say, Steve is still the better speech giver. especially to like his in-game speech was amazing before they went back in time. But like, I mean, Sam's speech was good though. I really did like it, and I mean, it's probably a speech that needs to be heard even in our real world,
Oh
and
my
it
god,
just
for
goes
real.
on deaf's ears like no matter what. And you can even tell like when when Sam's making a speech, like it cuts to the senators' faces and they're like, I guess, kind of comprehending what he's saying, but you can see Bucky and even John Walker, like I think John he kind of had like, and this might be again we're gonna like stand Riot Russell here, but like the look of John Walker's face, I think he finally like it was like an admission to himself. It's like, nope, this man is the better Captain America than I am. I think because just the way it was so subtle, but it looked like, I don't want to say it was like he probably felt defeated, thinking that like he's never going to be Captain America or he can't be Captain America, but at the same time he knew the right person had the shield, and it was kind of like an acceptance. And
Yes.
again, that might have just been like a, maybe it was just my interpreting that small little thing, and it might have just been why Riot Russell just being the good actor that he is.
Yeah, no, 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 no. 100% agree with that. Like it's, that's he conveys so much emotion with his facial expressions, which I really really love. Like he says a lot without having to say anything at all. And
Yeah.
that's what I really enjoy about his performance. And again, like you said, yeah, we may be standing him, but it's true. Like Wyatt Russell
There's
gave
a reason
such
why we're
an
standing him.
exactly. He is giving such an amazing performance with what he's doing, just with facial expressions, just with minor ticks and whatnot. He's saying so much more with that, and it's just very expressive. And you can see that when Sam is making that speech, like you said it perfectly. That it's about acceptance. It's about what we've been talking about this entire time, is that he has always doubted himself to whether or not he could live up to the mantle, instead of the man he himself, being the man that takes that mantle to the next level. Like it's not about living up to it, it's about taking it on and making it your own. And that was always his thing, is having the title and having the suit and the shield will make me Captain America, and I just got to do exactly the same thing. My merits speak for themselves. Whereas it's about the person behind the mask, behind the shield, that makes the symbol what it
Yeah.
is. And I like that, right after Sam finishes and he was walking past Walker, he nods to Walker. And if I'm not mistaken, he nods first and then Walker nods back, like, yes, we completely agree with this. Like, I'm just like, nah, you said it all, man. You said it all and you said it perfectly.
Thing I was gonna say, because so I know the suit for the Falcon, it is more or less almost pretty much comic accurate. But I want to say that there's another like parallel I want to draw between Sam's like suit and John Walker's suit. And again, this comes back to why Sam is the better man to wear the suit. So if you notice the suit with Sam's Captain America suit, like notice how much white is in that suit, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
like literally almost half the suit is white, and John Walker's suit, like there is almost no white at all. Okay, and in the American flag, the color white, it signifies purity and innocence, and I think that kind of like is just another. Again, it's this all could just be completely coincidental, and I might be reading too much into it because, like I said, these suits are pretty much comic accurate, but it just it's a nice touch to see, like you see Sam, who is the better man and who's probably a lot more pure with and has a suit that's just like half white, and then you see John, who kind of failed at, well, not kind of, he pretty much failed at being Captain America, and his suit had like no white. And I thought that was like an interesting little detail, maybe that might have just been pure coincidence, and again I could just be reading way too much into things.
I agree with that. It very much is, like you said, it's very, very comic accurate to what they're wearing. But I agree, and I I kind of feel like Cap's suit is a little darker. Like the blue does look almost black. With it again, I might be wrong on that as well.
Could
My
have been just
eyes
the
are just a
lighting. I don't
shot.
know.
Yeah, but at the same time, that could be an intentional thing. Like you said, when it comes to the white, it's very pure.
Yeah.
It's very like reborn, like new life, sort of thing. So no, I think it's really good, and it does show, like, hey, this is new. This is like a new start. Which made me laugh. It made me think of Arrested Development. But but yeah, hey, throw back to the Russos. No. I do agree with that, and I think that's a very fair assessment, and it does tie in with everything, um, especially with what they're trying to do with handing over the mantle and all that funness. So
Yeah.
just to switch gears a little bit, he ends his thing. He nods with Walker, and then right after it cuts to Bucky. And it was like, I was texting, so all I heard was black guy and stars and stripes. That made me laugh so hard because I wasn't expecting it.
I feel like Bucky also didn't want to be like, "I told you so." Like like you are the better choice. You are the best choice to be Captain America.
Yeah, like and I really like that there's no like ill will, like, like, oh, we're gonna share the mantle, or and that's shown, again, spoiler alert, at the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
Because he knows when, they see Steve sitting right there, just looking out on the water, and he's just like, go to him.
Well, it
And
even
then he
like,
just gives him that
e-
nod when he shows him the shield and he hands it to him. You just see Bucky nod like, no, it's going to the right person.
well, even then, because Bucky said something in the last episode. He's when the him and Sam are tossing the shield around like a baseball. He was talking to Sam and said, when Steve and I discussed who the shield should go to. So I'm like, so they had a conversation before Steve went back in time. Like I think Bucky knew exactly what Steve was planning.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no
And
way he didn't. I mean, even that look, after, when, again, spoiler alert, Endgame.
dude, go watch
Um,
Endgame, people.
yeah.
If you haven't watched Endgame, what are you doing watching this show?
Yeah, so when he goes back in time, there's that look when they're trying to figure out what went wrong.
Yeah,
But
Bucky knew.
Bucky, yeah, he knew what was happening.
Yeah,
That's why when they have their line, you're taking all the, what was it, the stupid with you.
stupid. Yeah,
Like, he knew that was like, I'm more than likely not gonna see my friend again, but he knew what was gonna happen. And
yeah.
I just like that it continues that little back and forth with Bucky and with Sam, and like they're growing their not partnership, what did they say, coworker, when they're going back and
Right.
forth, like, what are we? um but then that scene ends, and then it cuts to the three, Carly's three hench people, and they're getting loaded into the back, and then there's that one SWAT guy that's like, one world, one people, and then they just give him that nod like, yeah. And then the cars are taking off, and then you just see it just
Boom.
blow up. It made me laugh. I was like, wait a minute, what? Like,
I
I thought
know,
it
right?
was like blowing up, like it was gonna be an escape and whatnot. And then it cuts to this guy in the car, and I was like, wait a minute, why does this guy look familiar? Because
Steve
they have that throwaway line
Butler.
where they're like, we're gonna take them to the raft and
Yeah.
whatnot, and then it cuts to the raft, and I really thought they were about to call your theory with General Ross.
Oh man, I thought he was gonna show up.
And then, like, right after that, you just cut to, and you thought he was gone. I told you he wasn't gone. I told you we were gonna
Nah,
get at least one last time. Who
need
do
more
we
Zemo.
see?
More Zemo.
Exactly, freaking Zemo, just sitting there, and he's just listening to the radio, and he turns it up, and I freaking love that little look on his face where he just lays back on the bed. And I freaking told you, dude, in the last episode, time. Give him time. He is
Yep.
about patience, and he will get what he wants, and he did.
All
And
we
then
needed was a crazy butler too.
exactly,
Crazy
exactly.
old butler.
And then from there cuts straight back to Washington, and you got good old Julia Louis-Dreyfus back in her role as quote
Contessa,
unquote exactly as the
Val
Contessa.
slash Contessa
Yeah.
slash Madame Hydra slash whoever they're gonna decide to go with her, like whatever she's gonna be in this.
And I love that her first line is like, "Well, Zemo got his." Well, Zemo, like
She's like, I couldn't have planned it better myself, or did I?
exactly. Dun dun dun. Foreshadowing. And then we're sitting there, and you just see her having that conversation with John's wife, and they're just yelling, "John, John, what's taking so long, John?" And his wife, it's probably the helmet and whatnot. And then what do we get, Robert?
We get John Walker coming out in his comic book accurate U.S. agent uniform. The blue is replaced with black, and it looked so good. And I really like, yeah. I mean, even the name revealed where she was like, "We don't need me. We might not need a Captain America for this. The situations that we might have. What we need is a U.S. agent." I'm like, okay, like that's just like, yeah. When you say these comic book names out loud in like kind of an almost real world setting, it is kind of corny. It is pretty cheesy, but and I kind of liked how Ant-Man kind of played that up in his Ant-Man's movie. But like, yes, we get John Walker as U.S. agent, and it kind of the
Yes.
transition kind of worked. And I actually really did like how Val left, and he was like, "Thank you, Val." He's like, "Don't call me Val," but like. John Walker was really happy. Like he had a purpose again. Like he's excited to be U.S. agent. Like he's excited to be a soldier again. And you can kind of see it. And maybe now, the serum's not going to affect him, poorly in this way. We're going to actually see a good John Walker. And I'm really glad. And I really hope that all of the people that were out there threatening, Wyatt Russell because he was not their Captain America can now appreciate the entire arc that this character had and how Wyatt Russell played this character.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because you kind of get him to
Yes.
he kind of gets a not a completely happy ending, but it's it's still a happy ending for him.
And while
Like
we're on
he might be like working private private security slash in the private sector of being being a superhero, but he could still do what he always enjoyed doing, which was being a good soldier.
exactly, and like you were saying, he's really really excited. Like he's like right after Valise, he's like, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back.
He
Like
looks so
he's
happy.
yeah, he's just like, I made it, but this is like his own thing. And I think that's why
Yes.
there's so much happiness is I don't have to live behind a mantle. All I needed was just to be rebranded. And
Yes.
there was something I noticed, and this sort of dips into theories, which we usually say for the end, but this is just something that I needed to mention because I noticed it. It was a very blink and you miss it moment. So right after he's revealed as U.S. agent, right as Val's leaving, when he calls her Val, he's like, "Thanks, Val," and she says, "Don't call me that." His head twitches for a split second, like he's having a glitch, and then he says "copy" right after that. Like that sort of made me wonder: is he being controlled in some way? Like just from
Hmm.
our theory of who Val's character really is, and if they decide to take that route with this story, it made me wonder if he's been programmed in some way, sort of like a Manchurian candidate sort of
Hmm.
thing. And especially with the serum being what it is. This is a manufactured serum. We talked about it in a previous episode. Bucky's got that, homegrown, good old original mixed with cocaine serum, while John Walker's rocking the MSG extra gluten 2021, or in this case was it 2023, 2024, whatever year we're in now edition of that serum.
Yes.
So who knows what's going on with that. But yeah, it was just something that I noticed, and even in his eyes, it looked like he was like, again, it was that twitch when he said copy, sort of like he was like a yes, my master, sort of thing.
I mean, that's an interesting take.
So I mean, I could be completely wrong on that, but like I said, it's the little things that they've been throwing in throughout the series, so it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening, but we'll talk more about that at the end. So speaking of closure on characters, let's cut to Bucky. So Bucky finally getting closure with his friend, who's been mourning his son this entire series, and you're trying to figure out what this whole thing is with him, and you find out that Bucky killed his son, and it's all
Yeah.
been leading to this, and I like how they played it out. This didn't feel too rushed. It felt like the right amount of time with him getting the closure, and just again, it attributes back to Sebastian Stan's acting. Like it's an emotional scene,
It
especially
is.
when he takes his glove off and you see his hand and he's just like making a fist with it, like he's just like the regret
Yeah.
as and the remorse when he tells him, like, your son was murdered by the Winter Soldier. And am
And
I
you know,
am I misremembering this? Is he crying too a little bit when he says it? Like he's tearing up?
I'm not. I don't know if I saw him tearing up, but you can tell like it was yeah, like he might start crying at it's you get to that state where you're like kind of like talking about something or you're confessing something and you're like you're trying to fight back, crying, but yet you might break a little bit. It kind of felt like he was at that point, but he never like actually. He might have been crying when he left. I didn't really notice if I'm being honest. But yeah,
Uh,
no, like, and we come back to like actors doing even the smallest thing with just the smallest of the facial you know movements, and yeah, Sebastian Stan nails it too.
then right after he's done talking, you just nothing. I love that there's almost no dialogue in this scene. It's just Bucky saying what he needs to say, just his friend just realizing and looking, but almost having that closure feeling as well, like okay, now I finally have closure, I know what happened. So it just shows Bucky closing the door, walking off, and then when he goes to the restaurant and he sees him sitting there talking with that girl that he met, and then from there he has that look like he's gonna go in, but he's like, what, no, everything's good, like I don't have to worry about it, they're gonna be okay, and he just walks off into the crowd. And then right
And yeah,
after,
he returned. Yeah, he gave the gift to that therapist lady.
yes, I
Yeah,
completely forgot about that.
yeah, that was like right before that. So like it was him leaving the old man's apartment. Then they showed the gift that he gave. He crossed out every name on his list, and he said thanks for all your help, Doc. I thought that I was like, man, he was busy. Like I'm kind of curious how much time passed between the end, like where we last saw him with the fight with Carly, to like him giving that book back, because I was like, there was probably a lot of names in that book. But you can kind of tell, like when he walks by the restaurant scene and he sees them, he kind of felt, I don't want to say at peace, but like it was one of the things like he was talking about with Sam, like Sam's like, you got to do this because it's like the only way you can kind of move on. And I think Bucky was like, he was satisfied that he was able to at least bring closure to at least other people, the people that he hurt. I mean, it might not be what you want to hear, like nobody wants to hear like, oh my son was murdered, but at least it's a type of closure, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and at the end of it, it was more for him
Yeah.
in a way, because but at the same time, the his friend mourning as well, like it did give him the closure. And if I remember correctly, it was during the date, right, with that girl, where she was saying he just needed closure to know what
Hmm.
happened to his son for him to move on, or was it his therapist? That's the one thing I can't remember. But anyway, somebody tells him, because when he ends the date abruptly and he's like, I'm just gonna go tell him, and then he can't do it or bring himself to it just yet, but it's because
Yeah.
he's still working on himself. But But yeah, so we get the closure on that finally, which is nice to see that and just see Bucky smiling and just like, you know what, everything's gonna be okay. And then now we cut to Isaiah. So Sam going to visit Isaiah, and freaking Eli just still being cocky, still being, good old Eli. So,
I mean,
Sam.
yeah, Sam was like, "You need to learn some respect." I was like, "Man, just slap him."
Exactly. I'm like, come on, just put the wings on and just bust through the door. Just backhand him with the wing.
But I love what does Isaiah say to him? He's like, "Oh, he's not a Falcon anymore, but he's still black or something." Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I started cracking up. That felt like Sam was gonna be like, "Well, that can't change." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like I might be able to change being the Falcon, but I can't change being black.
Yeah. That would be a line he would say too.
Like, I feel like that is something Anthony Mackie probably, like, because I know
Freaking
everybody
ad
likes to
libs.
say, yeah, I know everybody says like Anthony Mackie's like a real jokester, like on set. So you could just tell like he probably said it like one time just for the bloopers or something like that. Because I know like I've seen some bloopers with Anthony Mackie, and yeah, everybody says he's like the goofball.
Oh, of course, man. Of course.
I can only imagine the scenes with him and Chris Evans because people said that about Chris Evans too.
Got to be on that set with those two. Oh, it would have been so much fun.
Because I remember they asked like the original, like the cast of the like, the original Avengers. They're like, who's the troublemaker on set? Like pretty much everybody said Chris Evans,
Yeah.
and like Chris Evans was like, he was like, nah, we were pretty much all pretty straightforward. And the thing was like, it's like if if you're the only one that's saying it was straightforward, then you probably are the goofball.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
But
he's having his talk with Isaiah, and he's like, this and that about, legacy, and about, taking over, and what everything means. And then he's like, let me take you guys somewhere. And Eli's, already like, oh, where are we going?
right.
And he takes him to Cap's museum and whatnot. And they're going through everything. I was waiting again for just to hear Gary Sinise's voiceover from when he's talking about everything. And I like that he just takes him to like a really small section that looks like it's like, okay, we just got to go behind this corner over here. And yeah,
Right.
it's revealed that he had Isaiah's history brought into that museum memorial thing, and you got like that nice statue, which I'm curious. I'm very curious how quickly he was able to get that statue made
That's
of
what I'm saying. Like how
Isaiah.
much time passed by? Because like it was just like I feel like that would probably take a minute to sculpt.
Yeah,
But like I don't know. I don't. I mean, I don't know. I guess I could just say like like a few weeks. I don't know. It was just the time and the whole thing was just like awkward. Like it was just weird.
yeah, it was. And again, that it's just time in
Yeah.
this universe is just wonky like that. I'll be honest, I was half expecting Isaiah to say something about how that's it. Or like he was going to
Right.
want more. Like, this guy's got this entire museum. I can't have a little bit more. Like, I want like the first half section. Give me a wing.
Right.
But I mean, it was a really good scene. And then watching him, tear up, seeing it, like Sam just says, now you'll never be forgotten.
Dude, Carl Lumley killed that scene when he's just like walking up. You can just see like the emotion on his face. He shakes Sam's hand and gives him a hug. Like you just feel it. You
I,
felt it.
I was
I
so happy when I saw that he was in this show, because I haven't seen him in so long, and I go back all the way with him to Alias. When I used to watch Alias on TV, when he played
yeah.
Dixon, like, oh my god, I loved him. That's where I fell in love with him, and I was like, we need more of him. And having him in this role, but at the same time, seeing him aged up and whatnot, I'm just like, oh man, like it really puts time in perspective. He killed this role, like he
Yeah.
killed it as Isaiah. And that voice inside of Sam's head, saying, don't forget, who you are, and still, amount to more than what you
Exactly.
are. And, you know, the
Yeah.
fact that they made him, you know, a super soldier, like he is a Captain America. And I guess now I can talk a little bit about my theory that I was going to bring up earlier. Because, I mean, it ties into this. So you were saying earlier with Young Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking what would be a good thing. And it would suck to see, but I mean, Isaiah's story arc is more or less over, unless there's something more that we haven't seen, maybe something that he had done or found out, you know, during his time as, you know, Captain America, that
Right.
a good continuation in order, like this would help further Eli's story, is having Isaiah die, and that's what inspires Eli to become, you know, the Patriot. And now that he's seen, like, you know, Sam is now taking on the mantle of Captain America, that inspiration right there alone. But the thing that'll, like, Captain America is a big part of Eli's life, but it's been such a negative part based on Isaiah's experience. And I
Yeah.
think because he spent so much time with Isaiah, a lot of that has rubbed off onto him. Because you can see, like, whenever Isaiah does something or says something, Eli's right there doing the same exact thing. But at the same time, there's been a couple of scenes where I think it's the first scene when they bring in the shield and Isaiah gets mad, and there's that look on Eli's face where he's like, he's sad, like he's like, you know, this hurts that this happened to my grandpa. It was his grandpa, right? Isaiah's his grandpa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just has this look like, you know, like he's just like, leave him be, like he's just trying to do his thing. But I feel like that would be a really good tie-in to push for Young Avengers. You know, this is what inspires him, is finally seeing, you know, representation of his grandfather and his struggle, and, you know, seeing Sam as Captain America and being like, you know what, like I can do this. I want to amount to more. But, you know, like you said, we'll see. But yeah,
Yeah.
that puts a nice little bow on Isaiah's storyline. And then we finally cut back to the bayou.
Oh, with a
Freaking
nice montage of Sam and Bucky being all sorts of happy.
exactly. And that little smile, those little smiles Bucky's having. I do like the one little scene, it's very blink and you miss it, when he's standing there talking to them. He has his arm out, and you just see Sam's nephews
Just
over
hold
there
on to
playing
him.
on it. You know why? Because he's
He's
trying
like
to
a,
work his way in with his sister.
yeah.
Hmm.
He's like a little carnival thing now. He's just like, let's see how many kids I can hold with my arm.
Exactly. He's like, this is my new thing now. Now that
Because I mean,
I've found
as a
closure.
kid, we used to do that with like our uncles and our dads. Like just like, oh, hold your arm out, and like you kind of just like hold on to see how strong your uncle or your dad was.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I used to do that when I was a little kid.
I used to do
So I
stuff like
mean,
that too.
yeah. So I was like, oh, that's that, and you could just see he's just having a good time now, and I
Exactly. You
liked
know,
it.
Lobster Fest is back for a limited
Oh,
time.
oh,
That's what it felt like.
I no, it's not gonna be for a limited time. I can only I. He's definitely getting that bank loan now. He won't even need a loan.
Hmm. Which I was hoping we were gonna see a little bit more of that. But I mean, it, like, as far as the boat, because the last line is, you know, oh, we're not gonna sell the boat. You know, we'll find a way. But I guess that leaves it open for whatever happens next. But
Oh yeah, the boat's gonna be painted red, white, and blue.
exactly. It's gonna have wings on the side. But yeah, you know, it's a beautiful way to end, with just showing him and Bucky just looking off into the sunset. And just, you know, I like that they fade it a little bit to where, you know, it does get blurry, and it just shows
Hmm.
them, you know, walking off, and then boom, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier title card, and then, you know, we get the music and all that good stuff.
They're no longer co-workers, but they are friends now.
Exactly. Best friends.
Best
Uh,
friends forever.
Special friend. But yeah, you know, then we get the credits, and of course, it is
True Marvel
not
fashion.
exactly, you gotta have that mid-credits scene. So I am going to let you talk about this. Tell us about this mid-credits scene, or I guess only mid-credits scene.
Yeah, right. I was kind of mad. I was kind of bummed there's only one. But yeah, so we cut to like the same courtroom style scene that we saw John Walker in earlier, getting his like I guess reprimand and basically being stripped of Captain America. But this time, it is Sharon Carter in front of the same panel of what was it, senators or judges, whomever it was. But she is getting a not only a full pardon, but she got offered basically a high end role in her quote unquote old division. I'm assuming that's either going to be, well, Shield's still gone, so that's, she was CIA, so is she going to become like a director of some sorts in the CIA? Because afterwards she leaves and she makes a phone call to, I mean, at first when I first saw it, I thought it was like maybe someone she might have been working for, but no, I think it was like her, like one of her assistants. Do you remember when she got into the car,
Yeah,
earlier in the series? So
yeah,
I'm thinking she was like, she says like, line up the buyers. We might not, we don't have any super soldier serums not on the menu anymore, but we're gonna have access to all sorts of, government secrets, all the private tech. And I'm like, yeah, she really is gonna be like some kind of big time player coming up.
yeah. And like you said, she gets the full time pardon. They even have that little Agent Carter line, which I
Mm-hmm.
really liked, and the little throwback about
Her
your
aunt,
family's
her great aunt.
legacy. Yeah, like it's like, yeah, Peggy. But yeah, when she has that smile, like, oh, everything's all good, and then when she turns to walk away, you just see that grin that she has, and then she makes the phone call. Yeah, set it all up, oh yeah, and then it just pans up showing the building on the outside. I i have a theory, and I guess
Go.
since everything's over, that's it, that's all she wrote.
That is how perhaps the first season of the Falcon and Winter Soldier ends. I mean, we know that's how it ends, but is that going to be the only season?
Yeah, like, is this season or is this mini series? Because we know we're not getting another, a season, quote unquote, season of WandaVision. But with this
No.
one, this does feel like this can continue on, but it really does just hinge on what they do with these upcoming movies. But I think that, I mean, let's do it. Let's get into theories. So the first one I do want to say is where we left off with this mid-credit scene, or end credit scene altogether. Um, I'm still convinced that she's in deep cover. And I know we talked about it a little bit on the last video with Val's character, especially if they take the route of making her Madam Hydra. I feel that Sharon is in deep cover, deep cover, that she is escaping into this role because she's going after something. Like, because
It's
I don't
possible.
think, yeah, I don't think she's that fully gone, especially with the grin and whatnot. Like, I feel that that's there to throw us off. I feel like I don't think she's fully gone. But then again, I mean, I'd be pretty messed up too if my almost boyfriend left me for my aunt.
I mean, yeah, I don't know where they're going with this character. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with either. Like, honestly, if she ends up just becoming the power broker, like, that's something I was not expecting before the season started. But at the same time, if she's deep cover, like, who is she really going after? And I want to compound on your theory real quick, and I'll add to it. Like, I felt, and I thought we were going to get something, but I felt it odd that we got the Shang-Chi trailer, a couple days before the season finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier, because I was like, okay, maybe, like, I know there was like, fan theories about the Mandarin being the power broker, but I felt like I don't want, this guy, I don't know the main character, Winwu, I think is the actual character's name, also being the Mandarin, but also being the power broker. I was like, no, I want the power broker to be a separate character, but maybe the power broker kind of report, like, I was thinking maybe the Mandarin was going to be like this overarching villain, like, just control, like, he's the leader of the 10 rings, and I mean, I feel like each ring could be associated to like maybe a branch to like his criminal organization, like, maybe the power broker reports to him. I was like, man, I was thinking about like maybe even Hydra reported to him, maybe because I feel like the Mandarin's going to be like an ancient type of character, like he's going to be old, thousands of years old.
Yeah, and
Possibly.
that
So I
would,
was like, man, so maybe she's maybe deep cover to try to take down the. I don't know. I mean, but then that's gonna have it tie into Shang Chi. But I felt it weird that that trailer came out then, like it came out a couple days, but I mean it could just be timing. Because usually, like, remember when they did with the Mandalorian, they released that one episode of Mandalorian before episode, what was it? This Rise of
Oh,
Skywalker, because they wanted to
yeah.
show the Force healing.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my god, I
So
completely forgot about that. Because I think when we were watching it, it was no, it was either you or my brother who had asked me, "Oh, have you seen, the episode yet?" And for the life of me, I can't remember if I had watched that episode first. Spoiler alert for Star Wars fans if you haven't seen or have no idea what we're talking about.
Star Wars
Um,
fans who have gonna seen the Mandalorian, it's fine.
yeah. It's the little force healing power, which is a different conversation for another day, but it's definitely something that is gonna happen. Yeah, it's very similar, to that. I think maybe a big part of it too is I think they could have dropped anything. They could have dropped a new trailer for Loki beforehand to be like, hey, this is coming soon or something like that, and to release Shang-Chi, especially so early, too, which shows that they have faith in this movie because it's almost half a year away.
Yeah,
And
September, I think.
yeah, September 3rd.
I want
So
to say, yeah.
I was really surprised that they released that so early. I really thought they were going to treat it the way they did with Ant-Man, to where it was only like 2 or 3 months before it was coming out when they started doing trailers. But
Hmm.
I guess they have a little bit more faith in this one, and I guess we'll see. But yeah, no, I could definitely see that happening. Like she's making a play for something. She's doing this role for a reason. And like I said, I am convinced she's in deep cover, and I think she's trying to infiltrate something. And what better way than to build this up? Like, oh, I've been building this case for the last 5 years and whatnot. Especially with the whole thing with Carly. Like, I feel like she saw it as this is gonna blow my cover. Like, if I don't end this, like maybe she was on orders. But I feel like that's why they didn't put it in here, is because there's something more, which is why I'm more inclined to think that it has to do with Val.
Yeah, I
Be-
think so. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know where they're going with Val. Like, I mean, I know she just recruited John Walker, so I was like, man, are they gonna like have their own type of like a team? Like a Thunderbolts type thing, and she might be the leader of the Thunderbolts. Because I feel like they're gonna build towards the Thunderbolts. Because I had an interesting thought. I was like, okay, so there's technically, as of now, there's no Avengers, and so what could the government try to do to like make their own version of the Avengers? You could have John Walker as your Captain America. The Abomination is supposed to be coming back. I mean, you could probably bring him back and be like the Hulk type of character.
oh my
Yelena
god,
Belova
yes.
as the Black Widow. You can have Taskmaster as like the all-around person. Like, and I was like, man, you can have this team of like government type of prisoners slash contractors and have your own team. And here and yeah, and I thought that was, I thought of that and I was like, oh, that could be interesting.
And what's more American than mercenary, right?
Yeah, like I said, the whole private sector. It's not even like, I wouldn't even say it's a government thing. You can just be like a private sector. That has the private sector gets government contracts and they go, that's how the private sector makes bank.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you can have this like Contessa Val, she has like access to like all these people who are just like maybe are being blackmailed or just on her payroll. And if something needs done, she can just call this team in, like her being like, what was it, Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad.
Her own little Suicide Squad.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then I thought of it even further. I was like, maybe this might tie into the whole, secret invasion type of storyline where maybe like we have this Thunderbolt established team of Thunderbolts and they go in and like maybe they fail just absolutely miserably to whatever this, and then maybe that's how the Young Avengers come in. Like there's no faith in anything, and these young kids, pick up the mantle of their superhero counterparts, and maybe that, I don't know. Like I just thought, I was like, okay, maybe this team failed, and like these young kids think like, okay, maybe it's up to us now.
These mercs couldn't do it, so we had to send in the kids.
I mean, I don't know. It's just like something like not necessarily fail, or maybe they succeed, but like their methodology, like So that there was a whole comic book run called the Dark Avengers, where like during the whole Secret Invasion storyline in the comics, Tony Stark was the head of Shield, but his armor got infected by some kind of virus that made him kind of like flee the whole scene,
Yeah.
and it was all like recorded publicly. And Norman Osborn, being the leader of the Thunderbolts at the time, was like, look at your leader of basically the world just fleeing when we needed him the most. And public opinion got on Norman Osborn's side, so Norman ended up became the new director of Shield. And he had his own, and he brought his like basically his Thunderbolts team, which were these evil, not well, they were mostly evil, but the evil became the Dark Avengers. Like you had Bullseye being Hawkeye, you had Venom who became like Spider-Man, Norman Osborn, who was the Iron Patriot, was the Iron Man type of character. Yeah, you had like all these villains basically filling the roles of heroes, but they were doing some villain shit. They eventually tried to start a war with Asgard, because Asgard was in Oklahoma, and it was called Siege. And yeah, that did not go over too well, and that's when Norman basically got thrown out of power. So I figured it can be something kind of similar, like but like it can show like the Thunderbolts just maybe getting too powerful or something like that, and it's just public opinion just not on their side. And that's when I don't know, but I just felt like it'd be kind of cool to see like both the Thunderbolts, the Young Avengers, like something different.
Yeah,
Because
no,
like
no.
I feel like Joaquin Torres can come in as the Falcon. We already had, depending on how Doctor Strange goes in the Multiverse of Madness, might see Wanda's kids coming back maybe as teenagers. Kate Bishop's going to be in Hawkeye. Eli Bradley was teased in this one. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it just
mean,
depends on where they want to go with it.
they're definitely planting the seeds for,
Yes.
the future. So I no, I think it's definitely something that is possible for what could happen. But either way, I'm excited overall for this whole series run. Um, I think it was a great series. What was it
Yeah.
a little slow at parts? Yeah, were there things and issues, of course, but what doesn't have their issues. But I think overall this was a very good series, and it just continues the trend that WandaVision had with closure, with acceptance, with grief,
Right.
dealing with grief and overcoming it, and finding your place and who you are. And I really enjoyed seeing that continue with this series run. And I do hope, like I said, it really does all hinge on whatever they decide to do with the universe moving forward, because that will affect these characters. I can really see this. This felt more like this could have another season. This could be one of those series runs where you can have a couple of seasons for it. Whereas, like I said, WandaVision was very a one and done. That was setting up, that. But at the same time, it would have to be something else, like with Wanda going on her own quests and whatnot. But I mean, like I said, everything with this we don't know, but it's going to be very exciting to see. What did you think overall of the whole experience?
For this show, I felt like it was. I mean, I did really enjoy it. I felt like the sum was better than the parts. That whole saying. The sum. Yeah, the
Yeah.
sum was better than the individual parts, I think. So like if it was just like completely if you like we watched it every week episodic. I felt like if you watch it all in basically one sitting, if you can stand the 5 hours or so it would take to watch it, I felt like it's all better like to watch it in one go. Like this one would have been a lot better if you could stream it complete like Netflix style.
Yeah.
Normally I like the week to week. I like the anticipation, and I did enjoy the anticipation each week to watching this. But like I felt like like WandaVision kind of felt like each episode was contained up until getting towards the end. But I felt like this show, like I loved it. I loved the performances. I mean, I feel like Sebastian Stan should probably be nominated for something just because he was amazing throughout the whole thing. I mean, the Wyatt Russell we talked about, Carl Lumbly, even though we got brief moments of him, but he brought it. But yeah, I felt like the whole was better than the individual parts. I think that's what I can say. Overall, I'd probably give it like maybe an 8 out of 10.
I agree. Eight.
Some episodes are better than than others.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Yeah.
Like
But
this one
yeah. No,
was
I agree.
pacing was kind of a mess in this whatever, but I think we already touched upon that kind of in the beginning.
Yeah, this episode is very much, episode 5B, as you
Yeah.
put it. It's a side B of episode 5. But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly that I would agree. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Is it perfect? No, of course not.
No.
Does it have flaws? Of course. But, overall it's a solid story for the most part. And again, it's about the message, which is overcoming your odds, overcoming grief, finding closure, and just finding a way to find your place in the grand scheme of it all. And I think it did a phenomenal job of doing that. And like I said, we will see what the future holds, but I really do want to see them again together. And I feel like it's just going to be on a whole nother level now that they're on the same page.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh god, like, yes, I can't wait to see the continued adventures.
Yeah. That's all we have for today, ranters. If you like anything we had to say, please like, comment, and subscribe for future episodes. But please remember that these are our opinions, and if you want to share yours, leave them in the comments below and we'll be happy to discuss and debate. My name is Robert, and you can find me at 037, that's 0 with an X, over on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can find me, Ryan, on Instagram at RyanRants2013. We will be back soon with more content, but until then, keep ranting.